Have you ever wondered why you do some of the things that you do? I have. Why do I laugh the way I laugh? I make hand gestures or facial expressions the way I do. Well, the answer is found in Who Raised You. We say some of the words we say because we've watched the people that raised us say it like that. And that's what we do. We're followers. We're all followers. That's what this podcast is about, following. It's called the Pied Piper Podcast. Why do you behave the way that you behave sometimes? That is because the answer is found in who raised you. From the day you were born, you begin to follow the people who raised you. You didn't have any choice. Now, in our world today, it's not always mom and dad. In our world today, it could be grandma and grandpa. In fact, more grandparents are raising grandkids than ever before. Why? Well, that's for another podcast, but basically it's the drug culture that has robbed a generation of raising their kids. And now grandparents have to do that. I've talked with people who were in our 12-step group that we've been working with for about 15 years. And I'm just appalled sometimes to hear them say, well, I don't even know who my real dad is. I don't know my mom. The people that raised me were different people than my parents. And that is oftentimes the case today in our world. But the fact remains that you and I do some of the things we do, think some of the things we think, say, live some of the ways that we live because we followed the people who raised us. And my challenge to you today, and one of the things I want to point out, that you can change who you follow. That's what this podcast is about, is helping people understand who they follow and where that following is going to take them and why they follow them. And then, of course, we get to that place where who's following us, because a lot of the people that raised us didn't realize that we were following them. I've talked to many people who said that, my dad was this way with my mom, abusive or whatever, and then I'm abusive with women, or I'm this way or I'm that way, and they swore up and down they were never going to be like that, and yet because of who they followed, they didn't have a choice. That's the default. You behave like, in many cases, the way you were raised by the people that raised you. That's why the following concept is so powerful and effective in transforming people's lives. Cults know this, and believe me, there are cults out there today. You may not hear about them, but they're out there, and they are wreaking havoc on people's lives. TV knows this. That's why they want you to not to miss the next episode. That's why they have a season of shows, and they want you to follow that and binge watch and all those things. Music groups are very well aware of this. Rock bands and other kinds of music groups understand the importance of following. They want followers. They want fans. Sports realizes this, to get followers and fanatics to do some of the things that they do. ISIS knows this. They know how to mold the minds of people. This gang 764 knows this. And their priority is to transform people's minds and then transform their lives and how they live. We're going to talk more in future episodes about this 764. I hope I get the numbers right, because I can do that. I can get them wrong. But their whole goal is to use social media platforms to humiliate young kids. Shame them to the point where they think suicide is a great thing, is a good thing, that they ought to do that. I just ought to kill myself. That's how powerful and transforming those things are. And we form our thoughts. They focus our mind on them when we listen to the music. And one of the things I want to say over and over again is that you don't get to choose music and no words. It's a combo. Okay? You get it. You get the hamburger, the fries, and the drink. That's the combo. You get the music and the words. Because I've heard people say to me, oh, I don't listen to the words. Baloney. You listen to the words and those get into you. You can change your focus though. And that's what I want to challenge you to do. Who are you following? You can choose who you want to follow. Maybe in the beginning when you were growing up, you didn't have a choice, but you do now. And you can choose to follow people that have qualities in them that you would like to have. I know one of those people. His name is Jesus. He knew this. He knew that you and I as human beings would be transformed by following. And so in Matthew 4:19, he invited the fishermen to follow him. He didn't invite them to church or to Bible study. Those things were a part of following him, yes. But he invited them to do life with him. And that's what changes us. In 3 years, they became disciples, followers of Christ. Their lives were transformed, and they received the hope and the joy that you can receive today by following Jesus. I can tell you how to do that. Instead of following some group that's going to give you just nothing but hopelessness, humiliation, and despair, following drugs, alcohol, those I've been told many times, you either recover or you die. That's the end result. That's where that path is going to take you if you continue to follow it. We're going to get into more of these things in the following episodes of the Pied Piper podcast. So follow us, would you? God bless.